Hello and welcome everybody to our webinar on the modern workplace revolution. I hope you're all doing very well. Thank you very much for joining us today. We know you're very busy, so we do appreciate your time. We expect this webinar to last around 45 minutes to 1 hour, depending on the questions we get. And we really hope that you learn something from it and that it gets you thinking about the future of IT in your business. I'm personally very excited for this webinar. Businesses have had some tough times in the last few months, and as things slowly start getting back to normal, it's great to be looking into the future and learning from some of the challenges that we've all faced. So let's have a look at what we're going to be talking about in this webinar. So first of all, we'll be talking about why do we need a revolution and why is it important and why now? And we'll talk about COVID-19 and what challenges businesses have faced and how we can learn from those challenges to improve the way we work going forward. We'll also talk about the limitations of traditional and legacy IT systems and how those systems could be holding your business back and being affecting its ability to adapt and thrive. We'll then talk about the modern workplace and what are the business benefits of a modern workplace. And then we'll talk a little bit about security in the modern workplace. And that's one of the biggest challenges that all businesses face at the moment. So we'll have a look at what challenges exist and how we overcome those challenges and protect your business. We've got a Q&A section at the end. So please use the Q&A section on the right-hand side of your screen. You may need to expand that section at the top right of your window so you can see that. And please feel free to put your questions in there as we go along, and we'll answer as many of them as we can. So before we get started, I just wanted to give those of you who don't know Impact Computing a little introduction to us. So we are an IT managed service provider, or MSP, and we provide IT support and a range of IT services across the Northwest. We're located between Preston and Blackpool, and we were established back in 2001, so approaching our 20th anniversary. And I love trying to match faces to voices. So if you'd like to try and guess which one of these lovely faces is me, and I'll give you some time to try and find me. So we are a team of 17 people, and so there's actually 3 of us missing from this picture. And we might need to give the team a little bit of time to get a decent haircut before we attempt to take another one. So our team are highly experienced in many areas of IT, and we've got experts in cybersecurity and modern cloud-based platforms, which makes us the ideal partner to transform your business using these latest technologies. So did you manage to find me? Well, that's me. My name is Ash Farr, and I'm the service desk manager here at Impact Computing, and I've had the pleasure of working here for around 5 years. I'm a father of 2, 14 years and 5 years. 2 great ages, and probably goes to explain all my grey hairs. I will point out though that grey circle makes that problem look significantly worse. And I've had a passion for IT and helping people with IT, and I've got 12 years experience in the IT industry, and it's a pleasure to help businesses become more efficient and achieve their goals using these modern technologies that we're going to be talking about today. So it's a surprise 2-for-1 deal. I'm not the only Impact member of staff here today. I'm joined by Wayne, one of our senior engineers and Microsoft 365 experts. If you want to introduce yourself, Wayne.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Wayne Dalton. I'm a senior support engineer, and I've been with Impact Computing for just over 11 years now. So many of you who are existing clients may have come across me over the years doing server installations and on-site work. And like Ash, I've got a passion in sort of making sure that we provide the best possible service to our customers and also make sure that they get the best out of their IT systems. Thank you,
Excellent.
Ash.
Thank you very much, Wayne. And I actually missed an opportunity there. I could have given you a grey circle too, and you could have had as many grey hairs as me, but I missed out on that opportunity there. Thank you, Wayne. You're going to help us answer the questions throughout and at the end. So just a reminder, you can put your questions in the Q&A section as we go. So let's get started then. So why do we need a revolution, and why is this so important to the future success of your business? So COVID-19 has potentially changed the workplace forever. And it's clear listening to experts and our clients that some workplaces may not return to work in the same way they did previously. And I can say for sure that impact computing won't work the same way again. And we'll be taking the lessons we learned throughout COVID-19 and merging them with what's worked previously. One example for us was that there was a lack of office space, and we learned that our staff could work remotely from home, and they do enjoy it, and in some cases will be more productive. So businesses were required to work from home, and did you have a remote access solution beforehand? And if not, how long did it take you to get that set up? And was it secure, or was it a sort of a quick fix or permanent solution? And it's clear that there was a business need across many sectors for a permanent remote access solution going forward. So we believe that mobile and flexible working could now be an expectation for your staff, and it could be key to attracting high quality staff in future. We actually asked our staff whether they enjoyed working from home, and we got 10 responses, and all of them said that they did enjoy working from home. And organisations' views on business continuity have changed too. And many businesses were unprepared for COVID-19 and are having a tough time because of that lack of preparation. We published a great blog titled, "What do you mean you didn't plan for a pandemic?" Don't worry, neither did we. And it is correct, nobody prepared for a pandemic, but in our own experience, having sound business continuity plans in place beforehand, and we could deal with the circumstances quickly. And there's also there's now a focus for businesses on business continuity, and switching to a modern workplace will help in that area. And businesses need more flexibility and agility from their IT systems. And COVID-19 went to show us that businesses need to be able to change and adapt quickly and have IT systems that also allow that to happen. So customers' expectations on communication and speed of service are also changing. And I think your clients and customers expect you to work quickly, but they also want to communicate with you in more ways than they have done previously. And I think we're under sort of pressure from those larger businesses to have things where we can sort of interact with staff live on the website, for example. And customers are sort of starting to expect that from small and medium-sized businesses too. And then we've got the compliance and regulatory requirements, such as GDPR, and you might have some that are industry specific to you. But businesses are having to deal with an increase in data subject requests under GDPR. And businesses are already starting to invest in a modern workplace. And I spoke to a few of our clients last week, and they believe that they will get left behind and be less competitive if they don't start moving towards a modern workplace. And their competitors will be more efficient, productive, and adaptable. And the technologies are ready, they are stable and secure, and they've been around for some time now and are widely used around the world. And you may already be using some of them, but in a limited way. And I also just on sort of a note about all those points, I want to talk about our support desk. And IT support is the bread and butter of our business, and our existing clients will know that excellent, efficient service is really important to us. And it requires a team of people all working together fluidly with great communication so we can be flexible and meet demand. And we actually think that our team works better now working remotely from home than it did before. And that's all thanks to the technologies behind the modern workplace. So I think it might be too early to see if we have any questions, Wayne, but I'll see if we have any questions at this point.
Hello, yes, we do have a couple. So the first question is from Rob. So he says, you mentioned that technologies are stable and secure. So how are they more secure? Right, well, if we focus on Microsoft technologies, Microsoft invest millions and millions of dollars in their systems, making sure their platforms are firstly stable, accessible. They generally guarantee an uptime of 99.9%. And any security issues have a massively negative impact on a company. So it's in their interest to get this right. And I can give you a real world example of this. Over the past couple of months, video calling has been becoming very popular. And initially, the provider Zoom was the market leader in this. But after a few months, some security holes were noticed in that software. And as such, Microsoft Teams then became the market leader because they had the secure platform in place that Zoom initially lacked. And the second question is from Stephen. So where can I find out about my compliance requirements for GDPR? Right, so GDPR, it's a huge area and we don't have nowhere near enough time to cover it in here, but we would point you to the Information Commissioner's website, which is www.ico.org.uk, and that outlines all of your requirements as a business to comply with GDPR. But it's also worth noting that different business sectors, such as finance and legal, have separate sets of regulations as well on top of GDPR, so it's worth checking out those regulatory bodies. Thank you, Ash.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Wayne, and thank you, Rob and Stephen, for the questions. And just remember that you can submit the questions as we go in the Q&A section, so please keep them coming. We do want to answer as many of those questions as we can. So I want just to take a look at the limitations with legacy IT systems. And some of these sort of root back to the COVID-19 we were talking about. And the first one is that you are required to be in the office to use some or all of the systems. And if you think about all the systems that you use, take a look at your phone system, for example. Traditional phone systems just aren't flexible. Can you take your handsets away from the office and use them from any internet connection? Or can you make and receive calls from a mobile app? If we look at data and file access, and that can be difficult to access and requires often requires VPN connections or some other sort of connection software, and that can be slow and complex to maintain, and it brings with it a number of security concerns along with it. And it's the same for line of business apps as well, and sometimes these can't be used over a VPN connection, and because they're just too troublesome or bandwidth hungry, and that can lead to other problems such as data corruption. So legacy IT systems are just not designed to change and adapt. And COVID-19 was a great example of how older systems were just not designed for change. And as we all rushed to sort of get remote access to those systems, and that was often a struggle. They also require significant upfront cost and maintenance. And server replacements generally happen every 5 years or so and do require large upfront capital. They also require that ongoing maintenance, and whether that's server warranty, all the parts associated with it, like backup devices, SSL certificates, that kind of thing. So it all adds up over that time period. And systems don't update, so there's a lack of new features, and it's not uncommon for businesses to have features or capabilities that are locked behind a costly upgrade. You can also suffer from having a mix of software versions with no consistency and having data compatibility issues, for example. And then GDPR compliance can be difficult or impossible, and GDPR data subject requests are on the rise, and this can be impossible for those industries that are still largely paper-based. And legacy IT systems were just simply not designed to handle those requests, which makes GDPR compliance extremely difficult and time-consuming. And having that fragmented data across the business and in multiple systems can also make those requests extremely challenging. So older systems can be inherently insecure, and we all know that older systems are more likely to have security vulnerabilities, as Wayne mentioned with Zoom, as they stop receiving attention, development and support. And a good example was when Windows 7 stopped receiving its support. But even being a few minor software versions behind can leave your business open to those security vulnerabilities. And then we've got the business continuity challenges with those legacy IT systems. And I think all the points above lead to those challenges with business continuity. And COVID-19 was an unprecedented event, but it went to show many businesses that were just unprepared and don't have the flexibility they need with their legacy IT systems. And then we've also got problems with disaster recovery, which is often slow and not tested. And traditional backup systems, in particular tape backups, are slow, and kind of puts the responsibility on you, which leaves them open to some human error. And how long would it take you to recover from a backup if you needed to? And how much data would you potentially risk losing at any point in time? And in certain scenarios, such as with tape backups, it can sometimes take days to recover from a disaster or a ransomware attack. So let's just check with Wayne again and see if we have any more questions at this point.
Hello, no further questions at this point.
Excellent, Wayne. Thank you very much. So now we've seen the problems that businesses have and the challenges with legacy IT systems. So what is a modern workplace and how can that help? So a modern workplace typically uses cloud-based technologies to provide secure connectivity from anywhere, using any device at any time. And if you look at Microsoft 365, formerly Office 365, and that's one of the sort of cloud platforms that we're talking about. And I think one of the general misconceptions is that Microsoft 365 is just an email platform. Well, yes, it is, and a very good one, but it can be much, much more than that. So a modern workplace will allow your business to work from anywhere and access all your data and files from any device, but also collaborate in real time with colleagues or external partners, while still maintaining that control and security of your data. And also unify your phone system, instant messaging, data access, all within a single window. And what does that actually mean for your business? And we'll talk about some of these points a little later on, but it leads to a better customer experience, as customers will feel closer to your staff, they'll get a faster response, and maybe even when outside the office or business hours. Your business will be more flexible and agile, and you can respond to change and challenges quickly. And your staff will be more efficient as they're doing less manual work and have instant access to their colleagues or data, and can go work in areas where they can concentrate. That's something that we found ourselves. And staff happiness and retention will increase as staff get the flexibility to work from anywhere and work better together. And in our experience, having a teamwork hub where you sort of put everyone together encourages that staff recognition that's been really important for us. I think if you look at all the points we've just mentioned, you're giving your business a competitive advantage over other businesses that don't go on that journey towards the modern workplace. So I just want to compare some of the points that we've talked about so far. So, having a look at the legacy IT systems and the challenges there and how they can be helped with a modern workplace. So you've got that ability to work from anywhere and also decrease commute or traveling costs. We've got that flexibility built in, and it's highly customizable depending on the needs of your business. You can also help with those GDPR and compliance problems and with the ability to search email, Microsoft Teams, all your files and data very quickly and easily. We also have the predictable costs with the subscription model, and you can pay as you grow. As you bring new users into the business, you're only paying as you grow. And new features are added often, and they can be added to your subscription very quickly. And we've also got the world-class security features that Wayne was talking about. And we do have a section on security in the modern workplace at the end. And you get the business continuity out the box. And in our experience, if you take away the reliance on your infrastructure and your office and your physical building, you deal with so many business continuity challenges all in one go. So let's just have a look at some additional benefits. So as we said, you can scale up but also down very quickly and based on business needs. You also get enterprise grade features on demand, so you can achieve business objectives and use the features that enable your business to achieve your goals. And you get that always on availability and no more server reboots or troublesome Windows updates that can stop your business from working. And these cloud platforms are built with resilience in mind. And so you do experience very little downtime. And as Wayne mentioned, Microsoft 365 has that financially backed uptime guarantee. And you get access to the always up-to-date software and new features. And I was talking to one of our clients in the legal sector recently about speech to text and dictation and functionalities within Word, and how that could really help their business save time, making those notes from their phones outside the office and having them automatically synced and saved to the cloud. And having the latest software versions mean you're always secure and have those latest features. Now, this is a big area and I could talk for a very long time about it. I'm not going to cover it too much today, but having that ability to automate or improve business processes with a range of additional productivity tools. With the modern workplace, you can really look at your business processes and workflows and automate those manual work processes with a range of tools. And there's also things like Microsoft Bookings, which enables your customers to book time with your business through Facebook or through your website. And that's applicable to lots of industries. And we had a client that used it to arrange collections or drop-offs of trailers and horse boxes, just so that all their customers didn't arrive all at once while we were doing the social distancing. You can also move towards a BYOD model, which is bring your own device, which really allows your staff to use their own devices, but without compromising security of the data for your business. And modern workplace technologies effectively allow your data to coexist on those devices and allow you to control it without affecting their personal data. And I read a great quote recently that went to highlight how the modern workplace is maybe more than just IT. A director asked the manager, how do I know my employees aren't slacking if I can't see them? And the manager asked, is the work getting done? And the director replied, it was. And I think that's the point behind the modern workplace, is the real business change is maybe moving towards a more objective orientated workforce. And that's certainly something we've seen ourselves. So I hope that we're starting to build a picture of how a modern workplace can truly change your business and deliver the benefits we talked about on the last slide, making it more agile, productive, and competitive. So let's check back with Wayne and see if we have any other questions.
Okay, yes, we have one here from a user called Tom. So he says, I'm nervous about having my client's data stored on the cloud. Is it safe? Right, so if we refer back to Microsoft, they have what's known as a shared responsibility model. So they are responsible for the infrastructure, for the making sure the services are available, for the physical security of their data centers. But you are responsible for the data that you store on there. So that means making use of all the security tools that Microsoft provide for you. So obviously the basics are your secure passwords, your two-factor authentication. So Microsoft provide all those security tools for you, and it's up to you to make sure that you are using them. And certainly for the solutions we put in place, there are certain security settings that we will insist that are turned on, and others that we will certainly recommend to you and help you set up to make sure that data is secure. And the second question is from Jane. So with bring your own device, what happens if a user's device is riddled with viruses and they want to access our data? So in this scenario, we could put in policies in place that whenever a device wants to connect to your Microsoft 365 tenant and access your company data, that device has to pass a series of tests. So first of all, does it have antivirus installed? Is that antivirus software up to date? Are all its security updates installed? Does it have a firewall turned on? And if that device does not pass any of those tests, that device will not be able to access your data until those issues have been resolved. So that's all the questions for the moment. Just a reminder that if you want to ask a question, just click on the question and answer button at the top right of your screen, and we'll aim to get those answered during the course of this webinar. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Wayne. And thank you, Tom and Jane, for your questions. Please keep them coming. And as I suspected, I thought there'd be a lot of questions on the security of the modern workplace and these new technologies we're talking about. So I'm looking forward to getting to the security section at the end of the webinar. So I just want to take a moment now to look at some really powerful features that could be useful to your business. So I want to talk about having the ability to store all your files on the cloud and being able to access them anywhere. And so when files are stored on the cloud, you can access them from anywhere using laptops, tablets, even home PCs and devices, as Wayne was just mentioning. And you still get the ability to make the files available offline. So if you do go to places where internet access is troublesome or you don't have any, then you can have those saved to work on them offline. You still get the external sharing, so you can sort of still share those files with external sort of contacts or partners. You can also save on local disk space by only downloading what you need, which is very good for mobiles or maybe sort of tablets and that kind of thing. And you can easily recover from accidental deletion of some of that data or malicious attacks with the recycle bin. And it's important to point out that we're not just talking about personal files here, users and files, but talking about the bulk of your company's files and data shares. And there's no loss of functionality in terms of securing that data, and you can still use groups and permissions to control who gets access to what. And it's still accessible in the same way it was before. So through Windows Explorer with seamless sync into the cloud. And there's nothing sort of new for the users to sort of learn, and people will pick that up very, very quickly. So I just want to take a moment to talk about the real-time collaboration and co-authoring. And this is something that's incredible and powerful, and it puts a smile on my face every time I collaborate with someone in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And I don't think the younger generation will truly understand how frustrating that message was. This file is locked for editing by another user. And a lot of this is about stopping sending things with email and having multiple versions and that you can't really control, and starting to share that instead. And then working together using that real-time collaboration, which is pretty impressive when you see it in action. And again, that works great for external partners and contacts. You can also revert changes quickly, and it's got auto save and version history. And it does mean that you're always working on the latest version, whether that's yourself internally or an external party. You're both seeing the latest version of that file. And as I mentioned, you're also protecting that data, so you can stop that from being forwarded to others or being downloaded at all. And one thing that we use all the time is having sort of a list that we put together for our clients, and having sort of 3 or 5 people in that list, changing something, whether it's a security feature for all of our clients, and being able to do that extremely quickly because we can all be in there at the same time. And we can't talk about some of the specific tools and technologies without mentioning Microsoft Teams. And you may already be using parts of this, and it is an unbelievably powerful communication platform. And that's able to unify everything that's important in a single pane of glass. And that's also your VoIP, your phone system, instant messaging, all your files and documents. And email is now becoming a little bit old-fashioned, and some businesses using Teams have reported a 70% decrease in the size of their inbox, and I would back that up too. So that's accessible on desktop, mobile, and web, on any of the devices you have. And Teams just keeps getting better as they add more and more features. And if you've been with it throughout COVID-19, you probably would have seen those changes as they've been implemented. Having the audio and video meetings, and this is something that you've likely been using already. I think a lot of businesses relied on Teams for internal audio and video calls during COVID-19. But businesses are just starting to grasp and understand the true external facing business potential of video calls to help them provide their service within their sector. And as I said, being able to put your telephony, your VoIP within Teams and get everything that you would expect from a VoIP system, such as a mobile app, anywhere access, And it's got some great features such as voicemail to email and even voicemail transcription. And you can still have a desk phone, but it's not required. You can still just use your headset on your PC, or laptop, just as you probably are doing now. And it's capable of live events, but we're in one now, and they're very easy to set up. And could that be something your business could use to connect with your customers and clients? And you get those teamwork hubs that we were talking about for projects and departments. And it's so easy to keep up with what's happening in the company and in departments with teams. And you also get access to all those apps and add-ins within Teams. And we use one which is a staff reward and recognition app that we all love using. And it's great to give and receive feedback to colleagues, and we centre those around our core values. And it means we're really getting the best out of our people, and they get something back for doing a good job. But there's lots of other apps in Teams aimed at improving specific tasks and increasing productivity and efficiency even further. So you may be thinking, everything I've said so far, if we're moving data away and we have access to everything within the cloud, why do I need my on-site server? And is it time to ditch that on-site server? And in most cases, yes. And to understand this, we really need to look at what an on-site server does. So it is responsible for some portions of your network infrastructure, managing and authenticating users, for example. But the modern workplace can do this too, and that can be moved to the cloud. We've already established that the file and data storage can move to the cloud. And then line of business applications, which will differ depending on your industry, but there are a few options to move away from that reliance of an on-site server. We do understand that those applications are critical to the operation of your business and are quite often the most important system you have. So what are your options with line of business applications? Well, you could look at switching to a cloud-based alternative. And as more and more businesses move to the modern workplace, that's becoming a more viable option as more systems become available. And so they're generally just accessible in a web browser from anywhere, and that you need to access it. You also have the option of relocating your system and hosting it on effectively a virtual server within the cloud. Well, the third option is just to keep your server for that line of business application. It's important to point out that you can still benefit from all the things that we've talked about today, having your files available to use from anywhere, and the communication tools, but still have your server there for the line of business applications. So let's check back in with Wayne and see if we have any more questions at this point.
Yes, so we've got a question from Jack. So he asks, the main argument for our business to have its own server with small business server running is to manage user permissions and company-wide security policies. Do you see a way of achieving user management and security policy management in Office 365 and moving on from the server altogether? So as Ash mentioned in the previous couple of slides, that is now an option. Earlier this year, Microsoft released a new plan called Microsoft 365 Business Premium, and that includes a lot of the security features that used to only be available in the enterprise grade plans from Microsoft 365. So it is possible that the Microsoft 365 controls all your authentication, so and certainly all the user permissions as well, in the same way that your on-premise server used to do that. And it also provides you with a lot more security options, like I said, that were typically limited to just enterprise organizations. And we do have a couple of videos on our YouTube channel, the introduction to Microsoft 365 and an introduction to Microsoft 365 security, which I will send you a link to very shortly. And second question is, Ian asks, you mentioned it's a pay-as-you-grow solution, but can you also downsize if necessary? So the answer to that is yes, of course you can. With any Microsoft 365 licenses purchased through Impact Computing, they are on a rolling 30-day basis. So you can increase the number of licenses, and likewise, if your company needs to downsize for any reason, you can decrease those licenses just on a month-by-month basis. So that's not a problem.
Excellent, thank you, Wayne, and thank you for your questions, Jack and Ian. And just touching on Jack's question and what you mentioned there, Wayne, I'd even go as far as saying as the sort of newer functionality within the card is far more powerful and better than probably what you have at the moment. If you think about a server and how long that technology's been there, things have moved on since then. So it really does open the door to doing much more. Great stuff. So let's have a look at the security in the modern workplace. And cybersecurity is one of the biggest challenges facing any modern business. So let's have a quick look at how cybersecurity can affect your business. And almost half of businesses, so that's 46%, report having some form of cybersecurity breach or attack within the last 12 months. So that shows just how important it is to protect against these threats. So we've also got the financial loss. I mean, most of the attackers are looking to gain from this financially. And quite often when they can't, they'll turn to just causing reputational damage and trying to spread their attack using your system. And then we've got the loss of intellectual property and data. So what are the biggest cybersecurity risks that could affect your business? Well, the most common is phishing, and that's tricking users into handing over credentials to effectively take over the account. And the attacker will be looking to intercept and use emails of a financial nature to gain from that. And spear phishing is pretty much the same, but the attacker will do research and use personal information to make the attack sound more convincing or credible, such as using directors' names or even company signatures. I'm sure you're all familiar with ransomware. There's quite a big attack recently, and that's encrypting your files and holding them to ransom. And then we have data leakage, which is the loss or theft of mobile phones, laptops, or maybe even sending an email to the wrong person. And then we have hacking, which is the sort of traditional attacking your services from the internet, which usually requires good infrastructure in your office, like firewalls. So how do you protect your business, and what is there in the modern workplace to help protect your business? Well, the modern workplace usually it has next generation protection and enterprise grade security features that do make it extremely effective at mitigating these modern threats. And I can't stress enough that training and testing your staff is something that your business needs to be doing to protect itself. So let's have a look at some of the capabilities. So we'll start with modern authentication methods such as MFA and SSO. So MFA is multi-factor authentication, and that's the process of having effectively another form of kind of password to log in. So that is like a 6-digit code from your phone that you have to enter before you can log in. And an attacker can't log in if you have that because they don't have access to the physical device that gives you the code. And SSO is single sign-on. So that allows you to use one set of credentials for multiple online services. And I can't stress enough how important it is to have multi-factor authentication set up in your business. Microsoft said recently that you can protect your account against cyber attacks by 99% or 99.9% if you have multi-factor authentication turned on. So it is crucial that if you don't have that already, that you want to get that turned on. There's also advanced email protection that has things like real-time link scanning and advanced anti-phishing. There's also data loss prevention policies that prevent sending personal or confidential data. And the ability to remote wipe business data from devices, and whether that's a full wipe if it was to get stolen, or just business data and leave personal data intact if a member of staff was to leave. There's also penetration testing of phishing simulation to test staff and raise awareness. And we think phishing simulation is one of the most powerful things you can do. And staff awareness around phishing is heightened when you suffer an attack, but it then diminishes over time. So it is important to remind your users of the threats and also find out who's susceptible and needs that further training. And remember that phishing is the most common form of cybersecurity attack. And it's responsible for around 90% of all security breaches. So it is important that you protect against that and educate your staff. You can also control which devices, users, or locations get access to your data. And a couple of other mentions is the ability to send encrypted emails, which is it is useful for certain sectors. And just to again touch on Wayne's point about the overall security of cloud platforms like Microsoft 365. And just last week, the NHS announced an agreement to enable a massive section of their service to access these modern workplace tools. And they wanted to have their staff leverage that collaboration, instant messaging, audio and video calls, and just work more effectively. And they cited a truly joined up national health service. But one of the things they did talk about was the advanced security features within those kind of platforms and how it would actually strengthen their cybersecurity protection. So just before we finish, I just wanted to talk about why you should choose us to be your IT partner. So we're proud to support some of the leading businesses in the Northwest. And it's a pleasure watching those businesses grow. And we've spent the last 20 years building relationships and trust with businesses like yours. And I'm a little bit biased, but I think our IT support is excellent. And we're all passionate here about our customer service. And we listen to our clients and give them the very best consultancy and advice whenever they need it to help them achieve their business objectives. And everything we do is focused around cybersecurity, and all our engineers take this area extremely seriously. And we understand that every business's and the industry is different. So we build a solution around you and your business, and we won't sell you anything that you don't need. And we try and build a lasting relationship with our clients. So we're an extension of their business and of their people. So Wayne, I'll throw it over to you. Do we have any questions? I know we've covered a lot.
Yes, we've got a couple more questions coming in. Okay, so the first one is from Bob. So when I purchase these services through Impact Computing, what value do you add versus purchasing direct? Right, so first of all, when you purchase Microsoft 365 from us, and we provision the tenant for you, we set it all up for you. We also run through a series of checks to make sure that that tenant is configured correctly. So that's checking obviously functionality settings, but also a lot of security settings. And what we also do is, over the past couple of years, we've invested heavily in sort of remote monitoring systems. So these systems, they obviously monitor our clients' servers and their PCs and laptops, but those systems also monitor Microsoft 365. So we get alerted to any signs of potential security breaches, sort of logins from countries outside the UK that look suspicious. And say, for example, one of your users set up a forwarding on their mailbox to forward all their work emails to their personal accounts. We would get alerted about that, and then we would obviously bring that issue to yourselves and ask you, is this right? Should this be set up? So all those checks that we put in place, you don't get when you just go to Microsoft. Microsoft just give you the platform and say, here you go, off you go with it. So we make sure it is configured correctly and is as secure as possible. And we'll also point out any security improvements that you could make to your Microsoft 365 tenant, such as adding multi-factor authentication and some of the more advanced features which are available in the higher level plans. So I hope that answers that question. So Charlotte asks, how would I go about testing stuff with a phishing simulation? Right, so this is actually a new feature that Microsoft have recently introduced to Microsoft 365. It's only currently available in certain plans, but it is available as an add-on, so you don't need to upgrade everyone's Microsoft 365 plans to get it. And if it is something you are interested in, please get in touch with us and we will provide you with all the information. And for those of you that aren't aware what a phishing simulation is, so this is where we send out what are effectively fake emails to all of your staff, and we get a report of how many staff actually click on the link in that email. So we're effectively testing your staff to see if they are aware of how to identify a phishing email, and obviously reporting back to you lets you know which staff need a little more education on handling those sorts of emails. So yeah, if you are interested in that, please do get in touch with us, and we'll provide you all the necessary information.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Wayne, and thank you everybody for your questions. So I really hope this has helped and that you've enjoyed it today. I just want to thank you again for joining us. We do appreciate your time, and I hope that it's helped you see how a modern workplace could really change your business for the better. And there are so many benefits to a modern workplace, and we'd love for you to get in touch so we can discuss these further. And we really want to continue this conversation. I will just mention before we finish that we have another webinar next week, which is aimed at getting the most out of your Microsoft 365 subscription. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that one, Wayne?
Yes, so I will be running this webinar at the same time next Friday. So this is basically just to give you an overview of what else is in 365 other than the Microsoft Office apps and email. So it's not going to be a technical demonstration. It's purely just to make you aware of what services are available, and then you can decide whether your business could potentially benefit from using those extra services. And in many cases, those are services that you're already paying for, but may not be aware of. So please sign up for the webinar on our website.
Excellent, thank you, and I'm looking forward to that one. I think there's some demos in there as well, which will be great. So thank you again. Hopefully, see you next week. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Have a great weekend, and thanks very much for joining us today. Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.